The sun came up cold over the Broken Arrow Ranch. Jonas Hartwell held his rifle with shaking hands. He was 54 years old. For 30 years, bad memories had hurt him. 6 men rode toward him through the fog. Victor Blackstone led them. He owned half of Millfield town and wanted to own the other half too. He also wanted the 19-year-old woman standing behind Jonas. She wore a torn wedding dress. Her name was Catherine Fletcher. Last night, she was supposed to marry Blackstone. Instead, she ran to Jonas, the only place she felt safe. Blackstone shouted through the quiet air, "Hartwell, send out my bride, or we'll take her by force." Jonas's jaw got tight. The girl breathed warm air on his neck. Her hands held tight to his shirt. This is how fights start, not with armies, but with one man choosing to protect what he loves, even when love might be wrong. Jonas Hartwell wasn't always a broken man living alone on 1,000 acres of empty land. Once he had been Captain Jonas Hartwell of the Union Army. He had fought in battles, saved towns from raiders, and came home to a wife who smiled like sunshine and a boy who called him Papa. Then in 1878, sickness came. In 3 weeks, he buried them both. That's when Jonas built the Broken Arrow Ranch. Not to get rich, just to stay alive. To wake up each morning and take care of horses until he was tired enough to sleep without bad dreams. The town of Millfield grew 10 miles away. Jonas rarely went there. When he did, people whispered about the man who never smiled and the ghost who forgot to die. 3 years passed like this. 3 years of quiet. Until the day Catherine Fletcher's stagecoach broke down on the road to Denver. She was 18 then, fresh from school back east. She was full of books and dreams. Her father owned the only bank in Millfield. Her mother had died when Catherine was born, so she grew up strong and stubborn under her father's loving care. 4 men with masks stopped the stagecoach at Devil's Canyon. They wanted gold but found only a girl with brave eyes. Jonas was hunting nearby when he heard her scream. He found Catherine backed against the stagecoach, her dress torn, while 4 men talked about what to do with her. Jonas didn't wait. 2 shots, 2 men dead. The others ran when they saw the cold look in his eyes, the look of a man who had killed before. When Jonas helped Catherine from the stagecoach, something passed between them. She saw past his rough face to the pain underneath. He saw past her youth to the woman she was becoming. "Thank you," she whispered. Jonas only nodded. He took her to town, said no to reward money, and rode away. But Catherine couldn't forget. She began riding past his ranch, hoping to see him. Jonas noticed but stayed away from town, feeling danger in a girl's curious looks. One day she left something tied to his gate, a white cloth with pretty sewing. The note said, "Thank you for saving my life. I hope you find peace." Jonas kept the cloth. He told himself it meant nothing. But in Wyoming, nothing stays buried forever, not secrets, not wants, and not the past. Victor Blackstone came to Millfield like a winter storm, quiet at first, then harmful. He was 45, rich from cattle and land deals. He smiled easily and spoke of progress. The townspeople saw a chance to make money. They didn't see the danger. Blackstone's plan was simple: lend money, then squeeze. He offered good loans to struggling ranchers and shop owners. When they couldn't pay, he took their land. In 2 years, he owned a third of the county. Then he set his sights on the Fletcher Bank. Daniel Fletcher was an honest man in a dishonest business. When bad weather hurt the ranchers, he let them wait to pay. When floods ruined crops, he didn't take their farms right away. It was the right thing to do, but it made him poor. Blackstone offered to help, a partnership, he called it. The contract was hard to understand. The interest rates were terrible. In 6 months, the bank was drowning. Fletcher had 2 choices: lose everything, or accept Blackstone's final offer, his daughter's marriage, for money to save the bank. "She's 19, Fletcher said. "Old enough to understand duty," Blackstone replied. Catherine had grown into a woman who made men stop and stare. Auburn hair that caught sunlight, blue eyes that sparkled with smarts, and a body that made young men stutter and older ones remember their youth. But she only thought of one man, the ghost at Broken Arrow Ranch. She'd ridden past his place dozens of times, always hoping. Once she saw him training horses, shirt open, muscles moving under sundark skin. She watched from behind trees, heart racing, until he noticed and she ran away. She was falling in love with a man she barely knew, a man old enough to be her father, a man who lived like he was dead. It didn't matter. The heart wants what it wants. When her father told her about the wedding to Blackstone, Catherine felt her world break. "I won't do it," she said. "You will," Fletcher replied, his voice breaking. "For all of us. Blackstone will forgive the debt. The bank lives. The town lives. And what about me?" Fletcher looked away. "You will learn to live too. But some things are worth more than just staying alive. Some things are worth fighting for, even dying for." The wedding was set for September 15, 1889. The whole town was invited. Blackstone spent lots of money, wine from far away, a dress from San Francisco, flowers from Denver. It was to be his moment of winning. Catherine spent the final day locked in her room. Her father had taken away her riding clothes and put a guard outside her door. "For your own good," he said. That evening, Blackstone came calling. He entered her room without asking and sent the guard away. Catherine stood by the window in her nightgown, arms crossed, refusing to look at him. "My dear Catherine," he said, voice smooth as honey, "tomorrow you become Mrs. Victor Blackstone." "My body might belong to you," she replied, "my heart never will." Blackstone moved closer. His eyes looked over her body, the curve of her waist, her chest beneath the thin cotton, the brave tilt of her chin. "Hearts can be taught," he said. "Broken. Changed. I'm a patient teacher." Catherine's skin crawled. This was her future, this man's hands on her, his weight pressing down, his idea of teaching. "I think you'll find me harder to break than you expect," she said. Blackstone smiled. "I certainly hope so. Breaking wild things is what I do best." He left her with that promise hanging in the air like smoke. Catherine waited until midnight. The house was quiet. The guard had fallen asleep. She slipped out of her nightgown and pulled on riding clothes she'd hidden, dark pants, white shirt, boots. She looked like the girl she used to be before duty tried to cage her. The window opened quietly. The tree was strong. The ground was soft. Her horse, Beauty, waited in the stable. Catherine had always been the best rider in the county. Tonight she proved it. She rode hard through darkness toward the only man who'd ever made her feel safe. Jonas heard horses at 2 in the morning. He grabbed his rifle and moved to the window. A lone rider came toward him, small, skilled. His heart stopped when he saw the horse. Catherine Fletcher got off her horse in his yard, still wearing her torn wedding dress. Moonlight caught her hair, her flushed cheeks, the desperate look in her eyes. "Catherine." He opened the door but didn't lower the rifle. "What are you doing here?" "I couldn't marry him." Her voice broke. "I can't. I won't." Jonas set down the weapon and stepped outside. She was shaking despite the warm night, fear, excitement, something deeper. "Your father will be worried sick." "My father sold me," fire flashed in her eyes, like a horse, to save his precious bank. "And you came here." "I had nowhere else to go." She moved closer. "No one else I trusted." Jonas's throat went dry. This close, he could smell her perfume, see her heartbeat in her throat, could remember the way she'd looked at him that day at the stagecoach, like he was a man worth saving. "I can't help you," he said quietly. "This isn't right." "What's not right?" Catherine stepped closer still, "is marrying a man I hate. Spending my life as his property. I'm 35 years older than you. So, I buried a wife and child. I know. People will talk. Let them." Her hand touched his chest. "Jonas, I've thought about you every day since you saved me. I've ridden past your ranch hoping to see you. I've dreamed about what it would feel like if you stop." But she didn't stop. She rose on her toes, lips inches from his. "I know you feel it too," she whispered. "The pull between us. The way you watch me when you think I'm not looking." Jonas's control broke like a dam with too much water behind it. 30 years of loneliness, 3 years of grief, Months of watching this girl become a woman and knowing he had no right to want her. His hands found her waist. She gasped and melted against him. Her lips were soft, eager, tasting of desperation and hope. They moved inside without breaking the kiss. Jonas kicked the door closed, pressed her against it. Her hands worked at his shirt buttons while he kissed her neck. "Are you sure?" he breathed against her skin. "I've never been more sure of anything." They were seconds from making love when Jonas froze. Horse hooves, many horses riding hard. Catherine felt him tense. "What is it?" Jonas was already moving, reaching for his gun. Through the window came Blackstone's voice. "Hartwell. I know she's in there. Send out my bride." Catherine pulled the sheet to her chest, eyes wide with fear. They'd been so close to something beautiful. Jonas was dressing quickly. The soldier in him was taking control. "Stay here," he ordered. "Whatever happens, don't come outside." "Jonas." He kissed her forehead, gentle despite the danger. "If I don't make it through this, take my horse and ride to Colorado. Never come back. I'm not leaving you. You have to." His eyes were already distant, thinking about the fight. "This is what happens when you care about someone like me. People get hurt." Dawn was breaking over the Broken Arrow Ranch when Victor Blackstone and his 6 men surrounded the house. Jonas stood on his porch, rifle in hand. He'd lived through worse odds during the war, but never with so much to lose. "Blackstone," he called. "You're trespassing." "I'm collecting stolen property." Blackstone sat his horse like a king. "My bride seems to have lost her way. The lady made a choice. The lady is 19 and confused. I'm sure you took advantage of that confusion." Jonas's grip tightened on his rifle. "Choose your words carefully." "Or what? You'll add murder to your list of crimes?" The other riders spread out, hands near their weapons. Jonas knew the type, hired killers who slept well after killing for money. "I'm giving you one chance," Blackstone continued. "Send her out and I'll forget this happened. Keep her and I'll make sure everyone in Wyoming knows what kind of man Jonas Hartwell really is." "And what kind is that?" "The kind who steals innocent girls. The kind who uses grief to justify sin." Jonas stepped off the porch. 6 against 1. In his army days, he'd have called for help. Today, he was the help. "She's not innocent," he said quietly, "and she's not yours." Blackstone's calm broke. "I paid good money for that girl. Her father owes me everything." "Then collect from her father." "I will, after I collect from you." The nearest gunman reached for his weapon. Jonas's rifle spoke first. The man fell from his horse, surprise frozen on his face. Chaos broke out. Jonas dove behind a water trough as bullets split the wood around him. He'd counted 6 shooters plus Blackstone. 5 left. A man tried to come around from the left. Jonas's second shot dropped him. 4 left. But they were spreading out now, using the ranch buildings for cover. Jonas was pinned down, outnumbered, running low on choices. Through the gunfire, he heard Catherine scream. A bullet had found the bedroom window, spraying glass. She was hurt. Something wild awakened in Jonas Hartwell, the same fury that had carried him through the war. The rage of a man with nothing left to lose. He broke cover, charging toward the barn where 2 gunmen hid. His rifle barked twice. Both men fell. 2 left plus Blackstone. Jonas rolled behind hay, reloading quickly. The remaining hired guns were good, but they weren't soldiers. They'd never learned to kill with cold skill. One made the mistake of showing himself. Jonas's shot took him center. The last gunman panicked, ran for his horse. Jonas let him go. Some men weren't worth the bullet. That left Blackstone. The cattleman had gotten off his horse, was using it for cover. He held a fancy Colt .45, the kind of weapon that looked good but fought poorly. "It's over, Blackstone," Jonas called. "It's over when I say it's over." Blackstone broke cover, firing wildly. Jonas took careful aim, squeezed the trigger. The rifle clicked empty. Blackstone's next shot burned across Jonas's shoulder, spinning him around. The older man went down hard, rifle sliding away. Blackstone came forward, gun raised. 35 years older, you said. Well, old man, let's see how that works out. Jonas rolled, came up with the Colt .44 from his gun belt. Both men fired at the same time. Blackstone's shot went wide. Jonas's found its mark. The cattle man stood swaying for a moment, surprise replacing his smugness. Then he fell like a cut tree. Jonas struggled to his feet, blood running down his arm. The ranch yard was covered with bodies. Smoke drifted from scattered gunpowder. Jonas. Catherine burst from the house, not caring about her state of undress. She reached him just as he staggered, caught him before he fell. How bad? She asked, looking at the wound. Seen worse. But Jonas's face was pale, his breathing shallow. Catherine helped him inside, began tearing cloth for bandages. Her hands shook as she worked, but her voice stayed steady. Don't you dare die on me, Jonas Hartwell. He wasn't planning to. He managed a weak smile. Got too much to live for now. But living through the battle was only the beginning. In Wyoming Territory, justice came in many forms. And sometimes the hardest fight was convincing yourself you deserved to win. The townspeople of Millfield arrived at noon, drawn by reports of gunfire. They found Victor Blackstone dead, surrounded by his hired killers. They found Jonas Hartwell wounded but alive, cared for by a young woman in a torn dress who dared anyone to speak against him. Daniel Fletcher was among them. When he saw his daughter, hair wild, dress ruined, love blazing in her eyes, he understood that some choices couldn't be undone. Papa, Catherine said quietly, I'm not coming home. Fletcher looked at the bodies, at Jonas's bandaged shoulder, at the fierce protection in his daughter's eyes. I know, he said. Sheriff Williams wanted answers. The townspeople wanted explanations. But when they searched Blackstone's things, they found something more interesting than scandal: a box full of fake documents, false loan papers, proof that he had been stealing from half the county. Blackstone was robbing everyone, Williams announced. The Hartwell shooting was self-defense. The townspeople who'd whispered about the ghost at Broken Arrow began to see him differently. The man who'd saved one of their own, who'd exposed the thief in their midst. Dr. Harrison treated Jonas's wound, said he'd recover fully. You're lucky, the old doctor said. An inch lower and you'd have bled to death. Wasn't luck, Jonas replied, eyes on Catherine. Was having something worth living for. Snow lay heavy on the Wyoming plains. The Broken Arrow Ranch buzzed with life, horses to train, cattle to tend, a life to build together. Jonas had healed completely, though his shoulder hurt before storms. Catherine had grown into the role of rancher's wife, learning to doctor animals and balance books. They were married on a Tuesday in March 1890. A small ceremony with Daniel Fletcher proudly walking his daughter down the aisle. No fancy dress this time, just a simple white gown that made Jonas's breath catch. Do you, Catherine Fletcher, take this man? I do, she said before the minister finished. Do you, Jonas Hartwell? I do. His voice was steady as stone. Their wedding night was everything that interrupted evening had promised: gentle and fierce, patient and desperate, sacred and thoroughly passionate. Catherine had waited, and the waiting made every touch electric. They made love by firelight with snow falling outside and the future stretching ahead like uncharted territory. Jonas traced her body like reading a precious map, whispering her name like a prayer. Afterward, they lay together, hearts gradually slowing. Do you ever regret it? Catherine asked. Taking me in? Fighting for us? Jonas thought about it. He thought of his first wife, buried in Millfield Cemetery. His son, who would have been 12 now. The quiet years of grief and loneliness. Then he looked at the woman in his arms, still young, still beautiful, still fierce with love for a broken old soldier. Never, he said. Outside, the wind howled across the plains. Inside, two people who had found each other against impossible odds began planning a life that would prove love knows no season, no age, no proper time. The West was built by people who refused to accept what others called impossible. Jonas Hartwell and Catherine Fletcher were such people. Their love story became legend in Millfield, proof that sometimes the heart knows better than the head what it needs to survive. Thank you for riding along on this journey through the heart of the American West, where love and courage often walked hand in hand. If this story moved you, I'd love to hear where you're listening from. Drop a comment and let me know how far these old Wyoming winds have blown. Until next time, remember, the best stories are the ones that remind us what it means to fight for love.